Hey Steelers Syndicate, it is Joe Rockey here coming at you with another episode. In fact, this is going to be my final position that I bring out discussing the current Steelers versus the potential draft pick at either 17, 32, or 50. And the final spot that I'm looking at here is middle linebacker. The Steelers solved their middle linebacker problems of 2022 by basically bringing none of them back. Addition by subtraction. Goodbye, Jack. Goodbye, Bush. Goodbye, Spillane. Quite frankly, of the three of them, Spillane was the only one that really gave anything of value going into the season when we look at it in a complete and honest review. Lots of reasons for that. Jack got dinged up. Bush never developed his mind. And Spillane was the only one left. That's how I kind of look at it as the overall result. But none of them are here anymore. We bring in two different free agents, one of which was hurt for half the season last year, and the other one couldn't cover anyone to save their lives. Really, neither one of them do. So, it begs the point, when you're bringing the pass rush that this team is designed to do, teams are going to target the short passes. The short passes demand to be covered. And the way that this team is built, we're worse at covering the ones that get thrown more than the other ones. Now, granted, that's any offensive coordinator saying, what are they bad at? Let's hit it. But it is very hard to go over the top against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Between KZ and Minka, they're both incredibly fast. They're great at angles. And they're going to pick the ball off. So we can't really push it there. Let's try to hit everything underneath and jam it. Well, the way you can fix that is putting another safety playing middle linebacker, which is what they just did by signing Keon O'Neal and having three safeties on the field. And I do believe that's the direction that the team is built to do. It's what it was built to do last year. Had the three safeties of Edmonds, Minka, and KZ been healthy the whole year, I believe we would have seen it a whole lot. Just they rarely were all healthy at the same time. And you can't put all three out there if one of them isn't dressed. Just a fact of life. So, what can we do as Steelers Nation looking at the middle of the field coverage? Well, let's start with the contracts the Steelers gave looking at these two. Both of the contracts are completely escapable this time next year. Neither one of them were structured in a way, and really Khan did this with virtually all of his contracts, but neither of them are structured in a way where we're stuck with them. It can basically be a one-year deal with minimal ramifications. So when I say that, that's the Steelers showing that we're not marrying either one of these guys. This is not what Baltimore did whenever Baltimore just gave Roquan Smith basically the key to their franchise. The Steelers did not do that. So therefore, there is a long-term need at the position. Fair. Now, whenever we're looking here, we get into the fact that middle linebacker takes a very long time to develop in the NFL. Lots of reasons. First, middle linebackers gets attacked in additional ways in the NFL than they do in college. Typically, middle linebackers in college are being attacked from the interior three offensive linemen or occasionally a fullback. You very rarely get the crossing route chips that you get from slot receivers or tight ends. It's just not prevalent in the college game. They call offensive pass interference much more and much more accurately. It's a fact. So in general, it's not a thing that they worry about. The second thing is obviously the speed of the game is so much higher, even if you're coming out of the SEC, than it is in college. So waiting an extra 2 beats of your heart to figure out that that was a play action instead of a running play, that's the difference between a 10-yard completion over your shoulder or not. And it doesn't matter how athletically gifted you are. Because, Bush was a failure. There's no way around it. But the guy's an athletic freak. It's just fact. So, athleticism is not a catch-all to this. nor is having the greatest mind either. Although, seeing what the Steelers preferred, Spillane had the better mind than the athleticism, and they played him much more. The Steelers don't want you to be out of position. So when we look at the positional need, is it something the Steelers would consider at 17 overall? Well, there's a need. There's obviously a road to playing time. None of these guys at this point have produced anything for Tomlin. And Tomlin cares much more about what you do for him than what you've done at your last stop. So, I say there's a tremendous need. The problem is there's not normally the quality to justify at 17. So, which then we're looking at 32 or 50. And if you miss on a second round pick, it's a whole lot less than missing at a trade up like we did for Bush. So overall, when I look at the likelihood of the Steelers drafting an internal lineman, I think, yeah, it's probably a second round pick or a middle linebacker. I think, yeah, drafting a middle linebacker is fairly likely because the need is there. Having more athleticism in the middle of your field never hurts. I do believe the type of middle linebacker will be much more slated towards a coverage type than a thumper. I don't think that bringing in or drafting a Spillane is wise at all. They just signed two of them. I think that they're going to essentially try to get another athletic coverage freak like they did with Bush. Because just because it didn't work with Bush did not mean it was a bad structural idea. It just meant for this situation, it didn't work. So I do think that there is a possibility at 32 or 50 that we're looking at Steelers select a middle linebacker. And it's something that, again, you need to take with a grain of salt. They take a while to develop. It's much easier to draft a safety and make him play linebacker. The problem is most safeties don't have the size to absorb it. You got to be able to take the beating there because guards are going to come up on you. People are going to double team you and try to kill you and bury you into the ground. It's part of playing in the middle of the field. However, if you get one, this team hasn't had a true dominant middle linebacker in a long time. I mean, it might go all the way back to Timmons, unless I'm missing someone. Steelers Nation, let me know in the comments if I'm missing someone there. I mean, there were people who were going to be. Shazier didn't stay long enough to really be it. Vince Williams never was the elite freak like Timmons was. Even at the end of the career of Timmons, he still had more athleticism than Williams did. Timmons was one of these underrated people in Steelers, in my opinion. So I look at it, I think that there's a possibility that we look that road. And the other thing is, if you get a truly good athletic one, and maybe in the first year, all he knows how to do is cover and pass rush, it's a pseudo insurance in case one of your edge rushers go down. Because you can say, hey, you're just going to play pass rusher for the rest of the year. We know you can do that, and we'll go from there. We'll just play off your athleticism. It's a possibility. I'm not saying that's the reason you would draft him, but it's part of the upside of saying, hey, we're taking a middle linebacker here. So overall, Steelers Nation, I personally am voting to give you my takes. All three of them go defense. It's the direction I want to go. And if I'm looking at this objectively, if we can get a complete and utter stud, if we can get the best of the best corner at 17, write it down, and then give me two middle of the field defenders. The order is kind of less relevant, but between D lineman and middle linebacker, based upon who will be on the board, if I was drawing just based upon position, and again, we will talk about the individual players later on, but just drafting upon position, that's what I want the Steelers to do. Corner, middle of the field defense, second rounders. This team has potential, and it's going to be competition laden. But putting three studs at 50 or better up here, that's how you can build pieces that we want to invest in forever. Steelers Nation, thank you for being a part of us. We'll be with you here tomorrow. Here we go, Steelers. Here we go.